I hope that's all right.
Yeah, you look good here. We obviously
but my camera I'm dealing with, man.
Yeah.
I'm not a really good tech person when it comes to this stuff. In fact, I'm kind of an idiot.
Yeah, as I've proven, I'm exactly that as well. So yeah.
With kindred spirits, right?
So when did you first start kind of metal detecting, and why did you start kind of focusing on rivers and finding stuff in the water?
You know, I first started metal detecting back in the early 1970s when I was just a little kid living on the farm, because there's all kinds of treasures everywhere. Everywhere I looked, there were, you know, things buried in the ground or hidden up in the, you know, the hay in the barns and stuff like that. So that got me interested in a very early age to search for things, because there are things everywhere. I grew up in a part of the United States where the Civil War was fought. So there's a lot of history and a lot of Civil War artifacts scattered all over the fields and in the woods and in the rivers around where I grew up. Farmers would be picking up bullets out of the fields when they would plow and disc. And so at a very early age, that sense of discovery and that sense of learning and that sense of history was ingrained in my being. Now, I first started looking in rivers at a later time. I was doing some research on a battle nearby, and I read where a soldier was sitting on the bank of this river. He was kind of crouching down, hiding from the artillery fire. And he described how the cannonballs would hit the hill behind him and roll down and splash into the water and sizzle. And at that point, a light bulb went off in my head, and I said, you know what? Those cannonballs might still be there, because they're underwater. I mean, people just can't see them walking around. So I went down there with a metal detector and started looking around. Sure enough, there were cannonballs in the water right where that guy said he was sitting. And that is when I first really discovered that there's so much stuff in the waters that people haven't seen or been able to find that I really needed to concentrate there. And that's what I've done. So I've been water hunting now, concentrating in rivers for probably 20 years. And I've gotten really good at it. All right.
That's good. Really good. So,
hey, wait a second. Wait. You know what? Dude,
yeah.
This whole video, maybe you can take care of this, but there's this weird bang, 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 bang in the background. Just want you to know that. It's you.
Yeah, it is me.
Yeah, but you're going to hear that the whole time I'm talking. Bang, 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 bang. Like an old hound dog on the porch trying to get at the deer hanging up during hunting season.
Yeah.
Bang, 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 bang.
I might have just stopped that and I can still hear you, so...
Yeah, I think we should do that at this point.
Okay. Alright, no, that's good. So, so tell me, you were reading about this book, you were doing some research into a battle, so tell me about how, when you're trying to find a river, or a new place to go hunting and detecting, what kind of research do you do, and what skills do you have in that kind of area?
I have become very proficient over the years in doing research, and research has become so much easier now that we have the internet, because there's so much stuff on the internet. And I can go on and do a few Google searches, do a little linking here and there, and it's just a ton of maps. There are a ton of books that were published in the 1800s. There's diaries, there's just letters that soldiers wrote back home, and a lot of this stuff is just out there for anyone to see. And I've kind of figured out how to find these things online, and I spend a lot of time at night, and of course in the winter time when it's snowy, I spend all my time researching. Reading these diaries, reading these letters, reading these books that the veterans published in the 1880s, 20 years after the war. And I think most people just don't realize that kind of resource is out there. And it's a new resource. I mean, 10 years ago I couldn't have done this. 10 years ago I would have had to go to the libraries and look for these things, and the library may have had just a fraction of what I'm finding now. So I've become very proficient in just getting on the internet and digging through the files, and it's just a wonderful, fun experience, because I learn new stuff every time I do that, and I find wonderful places to go detecting that really haven't been hit, because that information wasn't out there for everyone to find, again, just a few short years ago. I don't know if I answered that, but...
No, that's good. What we'll do is I'm kind of making notes, and we can. What I'll do is I'll go over the the edit and stuff. So tell me about the. Let's go back to before. So you grew up in a part of. Now we haven't got that horrible buzzing. You grew up in a part of America where the Civil War was. What was the first? Can you remember the first thing you ever found?
No. I don't remember. Gosh, I can barely remember what I found last week. I can make something up, but that wouldn't be right.
No, that's fine. So what does it feel like when you you think that you probably this is a good river, this is a good creek. How does it feel when you get somewhere? When do you know that you're onto a good thing and that you're gonna be finding some treasures that day?
I have found over the years that I can do a lot of research and I can figure out where these things might be. But it isn't until I really get to the site that I know whether or not anything is there. Now I might drive up to a river site, I might canoe to it or kayak to it, and the first thing I do is just stop and look around and get a feel for the terrain, get a feel for the river bottom, the flow of the water. And sometimes you just know there's stuff there. Sometimes you can just feel it because, like myself, the people of old, they were people too. They had the same type of thoughts that we have today. So you get this sense of excitement when I get to a spot and it's just right. Everything's right. I mean, the levels are right. The bottom of the river's right. The trees are right on the bank. And I know that there's probably stuff there. So it's just a tremendous sense of anticipation. There's a tremendous sense of excitement and discovering the unknown and putting together all these little pieces of a puzzle that I've been collecting over time, reading these diaries and reading these books and just learning about where these things might be. It all comes together right there when you're on the riverbank or you're standing there looking across the field and you just know that there's something there. Now, I've come to realize that there isn't always something there, and I mean that's just the way it is. But I've also come to realize I have a really good sense of being able to figure out that there probably isn't something there. I'm really good at figuring that out. It doesn't take me long just looking around to know that it's not the right spot. Now I'll still check it out because you never know, but that's a big part of the excitement of going and looking for treasure is just getting to that site, getting to that point where everything comes together, where you're standing there, where you think those people from years ago were standing, thinking their thoughts of war, thinking their thoughts of home and family, and standing in their footsteps. And you know that you're in their footsteps, and it just is a great feeling, and you can feel it in your heart, you can feel it in your brain. And that's what keeps me going. It's not really just finding the treasure and wow, I got something I can put on my wall. It's that moment in time where you're standing there and you know those guys were standing there 100 years ago, 200 years ago, having like thoughts, So those are the feelings I get when I'm out there treasure hunting. When I'm out there on the riverbank or standing in the woods or in the field and I've come to the destination, I've got to the point where my research says this is where I need to be, this is where they were. And so it's just a really good feeling inside, heart and mind both. That's it.
Yeah, good, really good, Bo, really good. So what's the, you kind of mentioned kind of war and home. What's the, so most of your finds, are they mostly military, are they mostly domestic? How do your finds kind of measure up in terms of where they come from?
I live in an area of the country where the American Civil War was fought. Soldiers lose a lot of things. They lose things in battle, they lose things in camp because, they're camping in snow. I mean, you drop your pocket knife in the snow, it's gone. So I find that I have kind of concentrated and specialized in military items, especially in the American Civil War items. Now, that doesn't mean that's all I search for. I love looking for colonial stuff as well. This part of the country where I live was settled in the 1730s, So there's a lot of like colonial era things up through the French and Indian War, 7 Years' War for you guys, and the American Revolution. I guess that's the War of American Rebellion for you guys. But anyway, yeah. So I concentrate on military stuff because I'm a guy and I like that, and there's a lot of that stuff around here. But I love the civilian aspect as well. I find a lot of buttons and coins from their homesteads that were here in the 1730s when the Indians were attacking, and I get that sense of history too. That's it. I ran out.
And what about?
I need some Mountain Dew.
So in terms of the military stuff, can you just talk me through the kind of what are your kind of most impressive military finds?
I have found a lot of stuff over the years, and searching specifically for military items, I have a real keen knack for that, and I have found a ton of stuff, and I continue to find a ton of stuff every year. I like to specialize in artillery items like cannonballs and shells and stuff like that. There's just something about finding that big old hunk of iron that you knew was made, was manufactured and shipped to the field, and what its purpose was. Was to kill a bunch of guys. And there's just something about finding that big chunk of iron, so I really like to look for that. And I find a lot of artillery stuff. Last year I found 50 artillery shells, which is unheard of in this day and age. People here in America have been looking for these things for the past 50 years with metal detectors. So to have that kind of luck in this year, this time, it's just amazing. So I've been really, really fortunate in that, I've kind of figured this thing out, and I find a lot of artillery. I find tons of muskets. I find swords, Civil War bullets galore. I find them by the hundreds, and it's it makes it look like there's a lot of stuff out there, and there is if you know the right places to look. But for the average guy that's going out there, or even the good guy that's going out there, they find a fraction of what I usually find in any given season.
So obviously like hundreds of people tried this. What do you say? What's one of the most important kind of ingredients that you've got which mean that you succeed?